Today is Sunday, a day long awaited and carefully marked on the calendar. For days, Mordred and Altria had anticipated this rare opportunity to break free from the monotony of their routine. The morning sunlight streamed through the windows of their hillside home, promising a perfect day for the escape they had so meticulously planned. Now, they find themselves on a beach, far removed from the familiar landscape of their everyday lives. The endless expanse of white sand stretches before them, meeting the horizon where the sky and sea blend into a soft, endless blue. The gentle breeze carries with it the salty tang of the ocean. Walking barefoot, the two women move in unison along the shoreline. Their shoes dangle loosely in their hands, swaying gently with each step. The cool, damp sand squishes between their toes, a pleasant contrast to the warmth of the sun on their skin. Every detail of this tranquil scene seems designed to ease the burdens of their hearts. The sunlight dances on the surface of the water, creating a glittering mosaic that shifts with the tide. Behind them, their footprints leave a fleeting trail, soon to be washed away by the gentle embrace of the ocean, a subtle reminder of the transient nature of all things.
So, here we are. Yup. Don't just yup. This whole bonding idea was yours, so say something. I was hoping the walk would stir up some of your past memories. You know, give us something meaningful to talk about.
Altria sighs, her gaze drifting to the horizon. Memories of Camelot flood her mind, stirring a deep, quiet melancholy. Her eyes trace the shifting sands beneath her feet as the cool waves kiss her toes.
There's nothing worth talking about. Really? We could talk about anything. Maybe even your past relation. What is it you really want? Are you still holding something against me? Not really. Geez, can't you just relax for once? We're sisters now, remember?
Altria pauses, scanning the beach. The laughter of children playing, the soft chatter of families, and the distant cries of seagulls fill the air. She watches a child chase after a kite, the simple joy of the moment tugging at something deep within her. Mordred continues a few steps ahead before noticing Altria has stopped. She turns back.
What's wrong?
Altria glances up, meeting Mordred's concerned gaze. She gives a small, almost imperceptible shake of her head before resuming their walk, falling into step beside her.
It's nothing.
Mordred watches her closely, noting the tension in her posture, the way her eyes are fixed on the ground, lost in thought.
You know, this isn't going to work if you keep shutting me out.
Altria exhales deeply, her shoulders sagging under the weight of unspoken words.
I'm a terrible parent, aren't I? To whom? What do you mean to whom? Well, if you mean to me, then yeah, you were the absolute worst, not just bad. I regret asking that.
Mordred lets out a laugh, the sound light and genuine. She nudges Altria gently with her elbow.
But? You always put yourself in the role of a parent to everyone in Camelot. You trying to act as a guide, yet you've never truly experienced what being a parent is like. Hell, I've heard stories from Sir Kay that you didn't even get the chance to feel love from your own parents. So, yeah, you're bad at it.
Altria stops in her tracks, taken aback by the weight of Mordred's words. Her gaze falls, not on the sand, but on the distant horizon, where the waves meet the sky. The quiet truth in Mordred's voice stings more than she cares to admit.
Perhaps you're right. I've always positioned myself as the figure of authority, the protector, the one who provides. But I never understood what it truly meant. Not really.
Mordred doesn't say a word, but her hand reaches for Altria's, gently pulling her toward a nearby parasol. The beach is peaceful, save for a lone man standing near their umbrellas, who seems to be part of the coastal watch.
Excuse me, is this place for rent?
Oh, these? Nah, they're part of the public beach infrastructure. Free to use, no charge.
Oh, I see. I thought they were rentals. No one's using them, so I figured.
Ha ha ha. Yeah, the weather's too nice to waste. Who would want to sit around with a breeze like this? Anyway, enjoy?
Alright then, thanks.
Mordred turned to Altria.
Come on. Oh okay.
The man walks off toward the watchtower, and Mordred swipes a chair from the sand, setting it down before Altria with a playful flourish. She then slides into the chair beside her, settling into the quiet of the moment. They both gaze out toward the sea, the waves breaking gently on the shore.
It's nice, isn't it? A moment like this. To simply relax and do nothing. You're a workaholic, father. You've always been. As king, you poured everything into that crown until you forgot about yourself. And in doing so, you forget what it even means to wear it. You seem quite active in criticizing my reign. Duh, because I care. If you cared about yourself as much as you care about Britain, maybe I wouldn't have to.
A quiet pause falls between them. The sound of the wind, the faint laughter of children in the distance, the scent of saltwater, it all lingers in the air like a shared secret. Altria looks at Mordred, her expression serious now, eyes searching. It's as though she's trying to reach some unspoken truth, some confirmation.
Mordred, why are you allowing me to be Ghana's wife? Why are you letting me be a part of this family? How many times do I have to answer this? I've told you before, are you really that forgetful? I need to hear it again. I want to understand. You already know my reason. There's no need to keep asking.
Altria leans back in her chair, her gaze unfocused as she looks out over the beach. The soft crashing of the waves echoes, but her thoughts are far from the serene scene before her.
Our family, it's not normal, is it? Is it because Ghana has 4 wives? Is that what you're implying? I'm trying to see it from someone else's perspective.
Mordred rolls her eyes, exhaling sharply in frustration, but there's a hint of understanding beneath her annoyance.
Why do you care what others think? They're not the ones who feed us, pay our bills, or even fix the roof when it leaks. Why does it matter to you? I don't care about them. I care about Ghana. He must have a difficult time explaining all of this, if someone were to ask about this family.
Mordred's expression softens just a fraction, as though she's finally seen the weight Altria is carrying, but her tone remains firm.
You're right about one thing, father. Ghana does have a hard time with it, but he knew exactly what he was getting into when we became a family. It's not all on him, though. It's all of us, me, you, Medusa, even Zeta. We're all in this together. You need to stop thinking like a king, always worried about how others will perceive you. You can't carry that burden alone.
Altria pulls out a pocket watch from her bag, her fingers brushing over it gently. She opens it and gazes at the photo of herself with Ghana, her smile soft and private. Her eyes flicker to Mordred's necklace, then back to her own watch. She smiles a little more, noting that her pocket watch holds a larger image than the smaller pendant around Mordred's neck.
You still haven't answered my question. Really? Alright, I'll give you a different answer today. Pay attention.
Altria looks at Mordred, waiting for the answer with bated breath.
Why do you allow us to be here? You could have Ghana all to yourself, and yet, you don't.
Mordred exhales sharply, studying Altria with an unreadable expression.
My definition of love is different from yours, or Medusa's, or Zeta's. You've seen it, firsthand, how Medusa loves Ghana. It's pure devotion. But to me, love isn't about possession or control. It's about sharing.
Altria's eyes narrow slightly as she reflects on Mordred's words. Her mind works through the layers of meaning behind the statement.
To possess something is egoistic, father. To me, that is not love, that is selfish. I love Ghana, but that doesn't mean I want to keep him to myself or share him with just anyone. It's not that simple either. I share Ghana because I trust the ones he's with, and because I understand that love isn't diminished by sharing, it can actually grow. I see, Mordred sees love the way a child sees it. A child doesn't have the ego or the concept of possession. They share what they have because they care. They love because they have no concept of ownership. Only adults see love as something to possess.
Altria leans slightly closer, her attention fixed on Mordred, her eyes signaling that she's eager to hear more.
Look, love is complex, and it's not about controlling someone or keeping them all to yourself. If I tried to possess Ghana completely, it wouldn't make me happy, and it wouldn't make him happy either. We all bring something different to his life, and he brings something different to ours. That diversity of love strengthens our family. You might see it as a childlike view, but I think children understand love better than adults. Sometimes, they love openly and without reservation. They don't put boundaries on who they can care for. Sharing isn't about losing something, it's about multiplying joy and support. That's what I believe. Besides, Ghana isn't some prize to be won or owned. He's a person with his own feelings and choices. He chose us just as much as we chose him. We all have our roles in this marriage, and we support each other. That's what makes us strong. And I trust you, Father. I trust Medusa and Zeta too. I know that none of you would ever hurt Ghana or this family. That trust is why I can share my love for him with you all. Because love isn't about keeping someone all to yourself, it's about being part of something bigger than yourself. If Ghana's happiness means being with you, with Medusa, with Zeta, then that's something I can embrace. Because in the end, his happiness is our happiness. That's the kind of love I believe in. It's not selfish, it's selfless. And that's why I'm okay with this family. That's why I trust you to be Ghana's wife too.
Altria sat still for a moment, stunned by Mordred's wisdom. Her heart swells with pride and admiration for the woman before her. A soft smile touches her lips as she reaches out and gently pats Mordred's head, her hand ruffling her hair affectionately.
I'm proud of you, Mordred. You've grown. You're far more mature than I thought.
Mordred's cheeks flush, and she quickly looks away, a sheepish grin spreading across her face. She's surprised, but her heart flutters with the praise, as if she's craving just a little more of that warmth from Altria.
Well, thanks. I know you weren't trying to prove me wrong, but hearing you speak, the way you see things, it only proves how wrong I've been about you.
Altria gently pulled her hand away, leaning back into the chair, her posture relaxed yet tinged with a sense of accomplishment. She closed her eyes with a sigh, as though some weight had been lifted from her shoulders. Mordred, still observing, tilted her head in quiet curiosity. The sudden release in Altria's demeanor left her wondering what thoughts might be stirring in her mind. After a moment, Altria opened her eyes and glanced at Mordred, her expression shifting to one of quiet contemplation.
If you believe Ghana deserves more, then why stop at 4? Surely, there are other women who love him just as genuinely. Ah, that's something Medusa knows about, but I never told you the full reason. Maybe Zeta doesn't know either. Doesn't know what? In the name of God, the most gracious, the most merciful. Marry women of your choice, 2 or 3 or 4, but if you fear that you shall not be able to deal justly with them, then only one. And Nasuverse 3.
Altria blinked in surprise, absorbing the weight of the words.
Based on the holy book? Yup, I've read through all the books in Ghana's collection. Why? You seem surprised. Shouldn't I be? You said love doesn't diminish by sharing, it grows. If that's true, why stop at 4? Why not let it grow even more?
Mordred chuckled lightly, her eyes glinting with understanding, but also a quiet resolve.
Well, we're faithful, aren't we? That means we must follow what our faith allows, and not just what feels right in the moment. Besides, think about it, back in the day, nobles had how many mistresses? Compared to Ghana, they'd probably be laughing at him. You do have a point. I remember some of the nobles who greeted me back in the kingdom have more than just 4 mistresses. They didn't always travel with them, of course, but the rumors were hard to miss. It's strange, though, to think of bringing those old standards into today's world. It's overwhelming sometimes, isn't it?
Mordred leaned back slightly, letting the breeze sweep through the air, her fingers lightly tapping against the armrest.
Do you remember Leo Co, father? I do. She saved me when those Chaldeans from another world attacked. She had 2 official wives, and if I'm not mistaken, she had anywhere from 10 to 20 concubines. And, in the end, she couldn't even remember the faces of half of them. I see. That verse I told you earlier, it's not about justifying having more wives. No. But it's meant to limit and reduce the number. It's about changing the way things were. Back then, women were seen as nothing more than objects, powerless and without authority. Men would marry them, and have more and more, only to decide who they'd discard. That's why you lied about your real identity, didn't you, father? Because back then, you had to. You were forced into a role that stripped you of everything you truly were.
Mordred noticed the shift in Altria's expression and hesitated, as if unsure how to bridge the gap. Her voice softened as she spoke again.
Look, father, I'm not trying to judge the past. I just don't want it to define us. Your name, Altria, that name Ghana gave you, it's not just a name. It's your name. It's special. You're not just Artoria or Arthur anymore, you're Altria, the third, the wife of Ghana. And my sister.
Altria's expression softened as she processed the words. There was a gentle smile that tugged at her lips.
Since you're the first wife, does that mean I should call you elder sister? Hell no, just call me Mordred, like always.
The two shared a look, and in an instant, the tension melted away. Laughter bubbled up between them, an unexpected burst of joy. For a moment, they were not bound by titles or the weight of their pasts, just two people sharing a simple, genuine moment. The laughter died down, brushing themselves off as they prepared to move on.
Well, this has been a nice bonding time with you, father. Agreed, I think we should do this more often. Damn right. But hey, you know what? You need some bonding time with Zeta and Medusa, too. Medusa and Zeta. I wonder what they're doing right now. Medusa's probably being boring. Ghana must be bored, too, seeing how boring she is. As for Zeta, she's probably sleeping.
Meanwhile, at the house, the atmosphere was calm but lively, each person absorbed in their own activities. Zeta lounged on the couch, flipping through channels on the television with a relaxed air. Ghana sat at the dining table, meticulously disassembling and cleaning his firearm. His focus steady. Across the room, Medusa sat across the table, a book resting lightly in her hands as she read it in seriousness. Suddenly Medusa sneezes out of nowhere.
Are you okay, Medusa? You catching a cold?
No, dear. Just had the sudden urge to sneeze, that's all. Reckon someone's jawing about you, Dusa. Talking about me? I'm hardly a celebrity.
If you're feeling cold, I can grab a jacket for you.
I'm fine, my dear. Really. Well, my stomach's startin' to holler. Hey, Dusa, how about we rustle up something tasty in the kitchen? Sounds like a good idea. Let's see what we can put together.
The two women made their way toward the kitchen, their voices mingling with the comforting hum of the house. Meanwhile, back at the beach, Altria stretched lightly as she rose from the beach chair. Beside her, Mordred stood up, hands on her hips, her usual confidence muted by a momentary stillness. Mordred hesitated, glancing toward the horizon as if searching for the right words.
Hey, father. Yes? If you had 1 billion lives, and in every one of them, you couldn't remember Ghana, would you still choose him, even if it meant you'd never know why?
Altria paused, her hand resting lightly on the back of the chair. The question caught her off guard, not because it was unanswerable, but because it touched something deep, something unspoken. She closed her eyes for a moment, letting the breeze carry away the noise of the world. Finally, she opened them and looked directly at Mordred.
Ghana, he is unlike anything I have ever known. In every path I have walked, I carried duty as my sole companion. I chose the weight of the crown, the burden of sacrifice. Even in the other lives I have glimpsed, there was always someone I fought for, someone I loved in the past. But Ghana, he asked for nothing. He gave me what no one else ever did, the freedom to continue my story, to exist not as a king, but simply as myself.
Altria looked back to the horizon, her tone now carrying the faintest trace of hope.
If I had 1,000,000,000 lives, and in every one of them, I had no memory of him, I believe I would still find my way to him. Perhaps not as we know it now, but my heart would still seek him. Even if I didn't understand why, something in me would recognize the kindness and the strength that defines him. And I would choose him, again and again.
Mordred, who had been silently listening, looked down, her expression unreadable. Then, almost as if speaking to herself, she murmured,
Just like me. Inheriting a feeling I never thought I could have. Just like me. Just like you.
Mordred stared at her, her expression flickering between exasperation and a faint, reluctant smile.
We're hopeless, aren't we? Perhaps we are.
With that, the two resumed their walk, the question settling quietly between them like the tide pulling back into the sea. Their steps carried them toward the parking lot and the road home, but in Altria's heart, the answer lingered. Even in 1,000,000,000 lives, some choices are eternal.